Hello, you awesome people out there. Welcome to the second episode of the Belk IoT podcast, IoT Everything with me, Sai Prakash Belkeri. In episode 1, we looked at what is IoT, and the obvious next question would be, how does one make a career into IoT? So, to answer this question, we have a special guest today, and his name is Jeff Urbancyk. Jeff is currently a senior IoT solution architect at a global technology services company with over 30 years of technology experience across all business verticals. During his 30 years in technology, he has done everything from mainframe development to IoT. Also sprinkled in there is his entrepreneurship, where Jeff started 3 different technology companies, with his last company developing the first IoT-based hardware software solution to connect previously unconnected point-of-care medical devices. Hey Jeff, thanks for taking out time and coming onto the show.
You're very welcome. Nice to chat with you, Sai.
Pleasure. So let's get started. So today's podcast, we are talking about how to make your one's career into IoT and what are the different opportunities and all. So why don't you start by yourself, like how you got into this thing? Now you are a senior solutions architect, and how you got so far, and what are your plans further?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So again, thank you for allowing me to chat with you a bit on your podcast. Really excited to join you. Yeah, it's interesting. I do have 30 plus years in technology. I kind of joke with people, I've done everything from mainframe to IoT, so it's quite the gap, but and all the different things I've done. And what's interesting, I got into the IoT like around 2013, 2014, and I can't even recall if it was even called IoT at that point in time, but I'd created my second company. I started my second company, and I had seen a need for some sort of connected device, some sort of connectivity of unconnected medical devices. So there were a lot of handheld medical devices out there, like point of care devices that would measure blood pressure or red cell count, primarily like in the blood industry. When you go give blood, right, they have to take your vitals, and they use these point of care devices, and they were vastly unconnected, or mostly unconnected. So I saw an opportunity, through working with a customer, that they wanted to have those devices be connected to their system of record. So once they took a reading for a patient, it would automatically enter those readings into the system of record instead of having somebody to do it manually. So I created a whole hardware software solution around that, and actually leveraging the cloud. And that was kind of my first foray into the IoT. So the idea of being able to take a device, connect it up, and be able to get that data into the cloud and be able to leverage that across, in this case, various applications to, again, eliminate that manual entry of data and be able to, really quicken the whole, blood collection process. So that's how I started. So from there, I saw there was such excitement around the opportunity to take these devices that have lots of information and they're very important. And how do you basically automate the connectivity of those devices, getting that data somewhere, and also not just one way, but bidirectional, right? So once that device is connected, then how can I reach back down to that device and affect some change on that device itself, and maybe send a command to get some additional data that's then sent back and that's made available. So that's why I started in like 2013, and I was really excited about that opportunity. So unfortunately, the company I shouldn't say didn't do well, but the bottom line is that I was a little bit ahead of the curve. I was out there pitching that solution to a lot of healthcare providers, and it was just a little bit ahead of where people are at. So unfortunately, I had to sunset that company, but the knowledge I gained from that, I took it forward and just worked with a startup who was bringing some innovation, actually trying to basically connected products through Salesforce. So you can actually monitor and manage all these connected products through Salesforce, which obviously is a huge ecosystem of users in various industries. So I took that forward there, did some good work there. And then I wanted to take my IoT experience to a much more global level. So that's when I joined Dell Computers, and I was their first IoT solution architect there. So it just kept progressing and progressing and growing, working with lots of different industries. I mean, I know we're going to get into this, but obviously every business vertical out there is leveraging IoT or can leverage IoT. So.
Wow, that was a great journey. You started from your own product, and now you are ending up, supporting different people from varied backgrounds and very different industries to build their own products. That's really great. Yep. So,
well, thank you.
So now that you are into IoT, if a person like who graduated from a college, let me before I go there, let me tell our audience how I met you and how this journey started. So when I was in college, I was in complete mood of having my career into something related to electronics. I didn't have any clear picture then, as any normal graduate would do. So I was trying out multiple things to get to know what my passion is actually. And that's when there was a robotics lab set up in our college, and then I tried multiple things out there. I built few robots, did so a few cool stuff, and tried out multiple things. And then I started exploring what is the market, how big it is, and all. So in India specifically, the electronic markets is really good, but for a freshers graduate, it's not a good entry there. So that's when I thought, I already had, by the time I was getting graduated, I already had an offer letter in my hands that was from IT industry. So I thought, let me join here, because I was seeing that convergence between software and hardware. That's where IoT is well placed there. So I thought, let me get into this IoT industry and then make my way towards IoT. And that's when I got into NTT Data, which was my first company. And constantly I was upgrading my LinkedIn profile, showcasing whatever I was doing. I was constantly DMing everyone who was into IoT to get an opportunity to start off there. But no, I wasn't getting any good opportunity. And suddenly that's when you showed up, like, you gave me that opportunity to get started. And, from since then, it's, a history. So I really thank you. I take this platform as a opportunity to thank you for that, for giving me that opportunity to get into LTI, which is my current company, which I'm working for, to work on IoT and get a good industrial experience there. Thanks a lot. So now coming back to the question, what would you suggest, or what would be your suggestion for any person who is in he or she, if they are in their graduation and they're trying to learn things and want to make career into IoT, because eventually that's going to be a big thing in the future. Because as you said earlier, as we were discussing backstage, there are different things. It's not like IoT can be in one particular field. It can be embraced by each and every different industry, and it's gonna be everywhere, omnipresent. So what is the suggestion for of yours for any graduate or any person who is continuing their graduation currently, to what are the things that they have to learn, or how do they get started if they don't know anything?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, obviously, you've graduated university, so have I. Millions of people have. So I think, first off, you got to enjoy what you do. I think that's just the bottom line, right? But I think if you're a technologist, right, and looking at IoT and looking at all the different areas that it touches, there's extraordinary opportunity. So, if you enjoy, let's say even like device development, right? I mean, obviously there's lots of opportunities as an engineer, right? Electrical engineer, for example, who can really help design those devices, right, that are used at the edge, that are eventually connected, that are smart. You have folks, obviously you have to develop the software, like you said, like embedded systems at the edge to make sure that those devices are smart. That's another opportunity, right? So then there's the whole security side, right? How do you secure these devices, right, so they aren't taken over by some bad person, right? So you have the whole security aspect, right? That is another big opportunity. And then obviously those devices have to connect to some sort of network, right? So somebody who understands networking, that's another opportunity. So you have so much available at the edge, then let alone all the different software that's actually deployed at the edge, right? Looking at machine learning, for example, right? Somebody who loves that aspect of it, to get really into the data, understand to create various models that are deployed at the edge. There's another opportunity, like if you like more of that nitty gritty kind of data science, modeling aspect. Although there's a lot of software out there that makes the machine learning aspect of it much easier. So you don't necessarily have to get into maybe nitty gritty code, but there's still a lot of opportunity for developers at that level as well. So that's just all at the edge, right? Let alone getting into where do I do it? Once that data gets pushed somewhere, either into a physical data center for like an on-prem type of installation or a cloud, right? So when you get into a cloud situation, so much opportunity for folks in, coming out of university to understand, cloud, just aspects of the cloud technologies. And then of course there's different cloud providers, right? Obviously, AWS, Azure, Google are kind of the top three. So just to become proficient in maybe one or many of those platforms, all the services, the IaaS services, the PaaS services that they offer, to really leverage all the data that comes from those devices, as well as communicating back down to those devices. So just so much opportunity. And then once you're in the cloud, it's just, amazing. Lots of different things you can learn from that standpoint. You can be more of a DevOps type of person who understands how to spin up these services, how to build the infrastructure, how to build out the CI/CD pipelines to push code, basically to other applications, or even down to the device itself. So there's so much opportunity that's available. And again, that's really, it could be applicable whether you want to focus or continue in IoT or not, but all that type of knowledge and experience, it would really lend itself well to, again, continuing in the IoT field, or, leveraging it across, in some other, other implementations, other types of technology work that you want to do. So yeah, just a ton of opportunities. And at the end of the day, I think you're already seeing it, that so many devices are smart or becoming smart. And I think it's becoming more like when I started this back in, like I said, 2013, 2014, people were excited and just amazed about how you can step on a scale at your house, weigh yourself, and it talks to you, right? Or it sends your weight to a mobile app. People were thrilled about it.
I'd like to crack a joke there. I somewhere saw a meme where your weighing machine tells you that you rather do this thing, or I'll tweet out your weight onto Twitter.
There you go. But yeah, people were excited about that. That was actually a comment in one of the presentations I made with my whole connected medical device solution. One guy was like, "Yeah, this is really great stuff. I'm just excited to step on my scale and it tell me how much I weigh, and sends it to my mobile app so I can share it with my friends and family." I was like, "Okay." So, but yeah, it's amazing how far everything has come, and I think the idea of like using the word connected with a product is becoming a bit ubiquitous now. Like people just are saying it nowadays. People are kind of used to that idea. Obviously in their homes, right? With thermostats, with lighting, with speakers, their TVs. I think people are just becoming more in tune with, and just having that word connected in their everyday speak. So I think it's just not if, but when pretty much all the devices that we interact with will be connected.
True. That was really a great way of explaining it. You covered different the whole architecture of IoT actually, and also you explained each thing in a brief manner, and that was really great. So how do one if, say for example, I am a DevOps guy and I don't know what is IoT, but I can still contribute to it. So is it necessary that each and every person knows the whole architecture of IoT and how the thing flow goes on, or the how the data flows, and each and every aspect of it, at least a gist of knowledge about the whole architecture, or he can just dive deeper into his core competencies and excel? What would be your suggestion?
Yeah, you really don't have to, right? I mean, at the end of the day, IoT is just another way of how I see it. A connected product is another way to, let's say, get information into some sort of environment. Again, the environment could be, again, an on-prem type environment. It could be a cloud environment, and have that data be available to other applications to derive some sort of insight or some business value, right? So at the end of the day, IoT is innovative in many regards. But since, if I go back and look, at the beginning of my career, it's still about getting data, into some application and do something with the data, right? And so obviously IoT kind of extends the reach of where we're getting data from. But like manufacturing, those various hardware devices, those different types of systems, conveyor belts, whatever. Those types of equipment have been sending data, to core systems for many, many years, right? They've been doing this forever. That's why manufacturing was one of the first to really kind of embrace IoT and say, hey, we're already doing it, but then they can do more around IoT with the insights they can get from the equipment and such. And again, so I think at the end of the day, everything we're doing around IoT isn't hugely innovative in many regards, but I think the idea of when you get more of it like into your own personal life each and every day, I think that's where it really gets exciting. So I think the bottom line to answer your question is, no, you don't have to, you don't have to boil the ocean, right? You don't have to learn everything, but basically everything you do in technology for the most part, will be involved with, or it could be applicable to, an IoT based solution. So that's how I see it. I really just see, IoT as an extension of, a typical application that we're used to, but now you're actually getting data from and pushing data to devices, things that are internet connected, which I think is extraordinary.
True. That's really true. Like the other thing that you just slightly touched upon was, we are doing a lot of work on the software end, but not on edge devices actually. I see there is a bit work that is really going on to process things at edge, and do everything like that stuff, but the hardcore edge devices are not that upgraded, or I can say yes, because the industries already have a good equipment with them, so they are accelerating faster, but the consumer electronics side of it, it's really taking a lot of time to get boosted. Like I personally prefer there should be something called as edge device as a service, which would actually provide devices as a service. Yes, there are few things that are happening in a consumer subscription based models. Like I would like to point out an example here. There's a company from India called Live Pure. It basically sells out these water purifiers for home, for regular use at home. And what they are doing, rather than selling it at to the customer, is they are giving it out for free, and they are charging per each liter of water. So that's a great shift. So you rather than from a company's perspective, they have a continuous revenue generation from their customers, and also from a customer standpoint, they need not worry about all the hassles that they have to buy it, they have to fix it, and if something goes wrong with it, they also have to go and get repaired. Now they are also providing complete customer support post for say 5 years of time. So that would be a great thing, because we need not worry about that thing. And they also are projecting few things like, the amount of money that you pay is far lesser than you paid for buying a whole water purifier. So that's how I feel the edge devices have to be offered as a service, and that's when it would be really accelerating.
No, I agree with you 100%. And that's something I haven't seen really caught on much, is the idea of, like the whole idea, like some sort of product as a service offering, right? I haven't seen that happen a lot, to be honest with you. But it's funny. I recently bought a printer for my house, which I don't like to really print anything for the most part, but they have kind of a service like that, right? So they basically send you, of course the printer's connected, and they kind of track how many pages that you print per month. And if you exceed, like in the beginning, when you install the printer and you sign up for this printer cartridge service, you indicate how many pages you feel like you'll print a month. So then they send you a cartridge that has so much ink in it, to basically cover how many pages you think you'll print. So, I think I said I think on average I'll print like 14 pages a month. So they send me a cartridge that has just so much ink in it. But what's funny is that they can monitor how many pages I do print, right? So if I exceed that, right, then they'll notify me, and then they'll upgrade, because right now the 14 page or less is considered free, right? So now let's say if I try to print 20 pages, then they'll notify me and say, hey, you're trying to print 20, here we're going to charge you more, right? And send you cartridges that'll accommodate and support that. So I thought that was interesting, right? And I haven't seen that happen often, like from a connected product standpoint. But I thought, wow, this is something that I've heard about for many years, and I've talked about with customers, as we engage in conversations with them around IoT-based solutions. But I haven't seen a lot of the subscription, like you said, subscription services around connected products. I haven't seen much of it, which is exciting. A whole other set of opportunities for companies to really differentiate themselves from their competition, right?
True. So, from this example that you gave, and also the earlier example that I just saw as a meme. So, don't you feel that there's some possible threat in that each and every aspect of you will be monitored in future? And as developers, both you and I, how do we what is the possible idea that you have that this can be overcome?
Yeah, it's funny. I know some people get kind of freaked out about, like, even as something as simple as doing searching on Google, right? You search on XYZ items if you're interested in, I don't know, if you're interested in like gaming, right? So you go ahead and search on some games or some names of games or whatever, and all of a sudden you get these targeted ads, right, based upon your search, right? It's funny. A lot of people get wigged out about that. Or if you post things on Facebook, they kind of send you targeted messages or targeted advertising. I don't think that's a bad thing, right? I think I'm actually for it, because I know I'm going to be advertised to. I know I'm going to be marketed to. So I'd much rather be marketed items that, someone thinks that it would be useful to me, versus just getting wildly marketed to. So, I'm okay with that. I think where it gets more challenging is that, if your identity, anything around your identity is taken, obviously any sort of financial, your credit cards, debit cards, banking accounts, that gets compromised. I think that, nobody likes that. So, I mean, obviously, it gets back to the whole, security side of things as well. Somebody wants to dig into the security aspect of it. I mean, because at the end of the day, these things are gonna happen. All right, we're gonna have more and more of these types of services that are targeted towards us, and it's just gonna get bigger and bigger. So I don't think we can stop it per se. I think selling, let's say, like size, desires and needs and interests in life to other companies, that gets a little bit, I don't think anybody likes that per se, but you feel a little like your life's being intruded upon. But so I'm not a big proponent of that. But again, I just think if I'm gonna, we're all busy, and if I'm gonna be bothered by something, I'd rather have it be targeted exactly towards me. All right.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
All right. So that's one perspective of looking at it. But I would rather also think if companies can be more transparent about what kind of data is being shared, or I know these days, all the social platforms like Facebook and all these things, they have some, settings that are hidden somewhere down on the 10th page that nobody even goes and cares to switch it off to, but I usually do that to protect their data. And so how can, I'm just thinking, I don't expect you to answer this, but I'm just thinking how these can be done from the device standpoint, because we every day almost hear that there is some news that some major devices are constantly listening to us or doing anything, all sort of these things. So there's definitely a threat to personal lives and personal data of each and everyone. But that's a discussion for another day. So let's get back to the same thing. And so as a final note, what would be your suggestion to a person who is getting into IoT? What kind of what kind of things they should be focusing on? Should they be focusing on existing or a specific technology, or just understanding the whole spectrum as interest of it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if I was a young person starting off my career and looking at IoT as a possibility, first off, there's so much content out there around IoT in general. So obviously, learning from your podcast and as a starter and getting excited about the potential of IoT for their own career, that's the first part. I think you got to get excited about something in this regard. So if you feel excitement and you see interest in exploring a career in IoT, then that's great. That's the first part. That's the first thing. Because otherwise, if you're not excited about it, then go do something else. It's totally fine. But I think you got to be excited. You got to be enthusiastic, and then from there, do some research and understand. Okay, where would be your core competency? What would light you up and get you excited to wake up every day? And as you know, sometimes work rather long hours to deliver these really, really great, amazing IoT-based solutions. So that would be the first part, the first start, or the first step, I should say. So then from that point, you really get interested in, you look at the different parts of IoT and see what, again, lights you up, what gets you excited. Some people are like heads down developers, which is great. Some people, get excited about the security side of things. Some people get excited about making these devices smart. Whatever lights you up, some people do like the core network connectivity side of things, which is wonderful as well. So I think you just got to find your niche, but I think, again,
also the product management.
Yeah. Product manager as well. Like I said, there's so many aspects of IoT that you can get excited about and dig your, kind of sink your teeth into. But you gotta just find out what lights you up. I think that's the bottom line. So understand IoT from the edge all the way, to the cloud, for example, and then see what is your best fit, what gets you excited, and then just start doing some research. And as you know, there's tons of free courses out there. You want to take a couple courses on machine learning, or like any sort of developer or development language. There's cloud, obviously tons of free training around cloud, whether it's Azure or AWS or Google, and just see what lights you up, and then go from there. To me, the more excited you are,
that's really great suggestion.
Yeah, the more excited you are, enthusiastic you are, the more successful you're going to be.
Yep. So this exactly bang on to what I suggest to my juniors when they ask about career related guidance and all. So I just say this one statement: if you want to be happy, try turning your passion into your profession. And if you really haven't figured out what is your passion by now, then just try out things. You'll end up what you love. You'll end up knowing what you love. So this is what I always tell, and you are exactly. I feel everybody who has been doing the work that they really love, they eventually know that this is how it works. They need not get into each and everything. They can't do each and everything, but they just have to keep doing what they love, and opportunities will come to them finding themselves. So
exactly.
That's how I found you. So
exactly.
Yep.
No, I 100% agree. And the thing I've learned in my 30 plus years in technology is things are always changing, right? Yep. But there's a lot of core concepts that continue forward in technology, but things are always changing. So I think the more flexible you can be and embrace change, that's really, really important. So I think that's very, very key. But again, IoT, there's so much going on. There's so many different opportunities for people. But yeah, like you said, just be excited, be open, be passionate, and at the end of the day, you'll be successful. You'll be successful. You definitely will.
I couldn't agree more. All right, so that brings us to the end of this podcast episode. Thanks a lot, Jeff, for making your time and coming onto this podcast.
Yeah, so really thank you, Sai, for inviting me to your podcast. I know this is kind of a newly started podcast for you, but I've been impressed so far with what you put together and your focus and your commitment to really make a difference in the community and in your community and in the world around IoT. So again, from the beginning when we reached out to you, or you reached out to me in LinkedIn, to us finally getting to this point where you actually joined the company that I work for as well and move forward. I was always been very impressed by who you are and what you provide to the world, and your excitement and enthusiasm is hugely contagious. So it's a pleasure for me to join your podcast, and I look forward to chatting with you again.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks a lot. That were really overwhelming words for me.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, that brings us to the end of this second episode. Hope you liked it and also found it informative. If you have any other questions around IoT, please feel free to send it across us from the Connect With Us section on our website, belkiot.in. And until next time, keep doing awesome as always.